Hey, and welcome to the highlights of episode number 229 with Chrissy Helmer. Some of my favorite parts of this episode were when she shares what it means to heal through wisdom. I also loved it when she talks us through the best place to start on your own healing journey, and when she talks about the effects of 5G and how we can protect ourselves from EMF radiation. But there is so much more wisdom, knowledge, and inspiration that you get in the full episode. So, to listen to the full podcast and get all the info in the show notes, head on over to melissaambrosini.com/229 right now. Chrissy, welcome to the show. I'm so excited for our conversation today. I want to hear about your story and how you got to where you are today doing the work that you now do.
For me, how am I here today? I have always been what I would say is an advocate, right? Like I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, which is a challenger, somebody bold, somebody that's in leadership. And so even at a young age, I was you play pretend with your friends, like I'm the president, I'm the teacher, like I always needed to be in charge. And so I've always, no matter what I've been doing, wanted to help, wanted to lead, wanted to speak truth, no matter what it costs me. And it's like I was just born with no fear of that. Like even public speaking, like energizes me. Like I've never been afraid to speak. Now I'm kind of a rare case because I actually got married at the age of 19 and had my first child at 20. So I've always been like an old soul. My journey started there because my son, when I had him at 20, as you read in the book, he had health complications, he had a vaccine injury. And so from that moment on, this became my world.
Wow. Okay. So let's just touch on that. Can you just talk a little bit about that injury that you were talking about?
Sure. Yeah. So I will be really honest. I did not research vaccines or allergies or check my family history to see if there could be potential issues. I just trusted what doctors told me. I just trusted what you were supposed to do because I didn't know better. And so, with my son, he ended up having, the fever, the uncontrollable crying for 3 days. He got really sick. And, I would bring him in and they would say, oh, he just caught a virus. And I'm thinking, I'm breastfeeding exclusively. Nobody is sick. I don't even understand. Like, this doesn't make sense because he didn't have a cold and he didn't have a cough. Actually, at times he did. He got pneumonia even as a baby. And then these things just started to pile up. And when he was 6 weeks old, after he had gotten some vaccinations, he just was not the same. And I could tell he was breathing differently. He was having like this, if you would go to get him, like almost like a seizure. I wouldn't say it was a full-blown seizure, but I just knew something was wrong. I couldn't get him to make eye contact. And so I brought him into the hospital and they just took him away from me and said, your son is on the borderline of dying. He doesn't have enough oxygen. We don't know if he's going to make it. We have to rush him to a children's center right now.
This must have been so scary for you.
It was very scary for sure. I thought, I don't know if my son is going to make it. I don't know what's going to happen. And so, when you poke a mama bear, that's not something you want to mess with. And I was going to get to the bottom of what happened to my son at all costs.
And then what happened?
Thankfully, through some research and through some divine guidance and intervention, at this time, Jenny McCarthy had been coming out talking about, vaccines have chemicals, vaccines have allergens, vaccines have these other things in them. And so I just started doing research. I just was like, oh my gosh, is this true? So I had to just figure it out for myself. So yeah, we had to walk through all of that and try to figure out the best thing for him. But once I became educated, I switched everything to organic and I started getting, some herbs that could help take metals out of the body. I started, just one thing at a time to try to help. Once I began to give him herbs and switch some things over, and delay vaccinations. Like I was like, okay, I don't feel comfortable giving him these vaccines at this time. I want to wait. I want to do my research. Then we started to see some progress with him. But if I'm being honest, I'm so thankful and grateful that he is healthy and smart. But, there's still things, obviously foods and all of that he still has, triggers or flare ups or different things due to that, if that makes sense.
What does healing through wisdom mean and look like for you?
Healing through wisdom is about, we need to be open to wisdom, to truth. We need to be open to knowing that we have power in our choices. As much as I believe in prayer, as much as I believe in faith, you still have to walk that out. You still have to choose when you're at the grocery store something different. You still have to choose your practices and your thoughts. You still have to choose to do the deep emotional work. And you have to choose to meal plan and take the supplements. And so, for me, it's not just looking for blame, looking for, oh, this is why, or, oh, let me just touch this one area of my life, but ignore the rest. Healing through wisdom is really about letting the light in every area, the deepest places, the darkest places, and every part of your everyday life.
So for people listening, what are some of the lowest hanging fruits that they can start to work on now?
I would say the first thing, because I think once we start to work on our emotions, our traumas, our mindsets, all of that, it tends to help us become more aware and connected to what we're choosing with food and with our decisions and with our products. Now, I've seen it happen the opposite. People begin to eat healthy, and then that begins to open up their emotions and open up their spirit and open up their mindset, right? Because they're becoming more clear because they're not bogged down by so many chemicals. So I think that the easiest, lowest hanging fruit is really eating organic and getting rid of chemicals so that your emotions and your spirit and your mind can begin to be more open.
And I just want to really encourage everybody to start going chemical free, ideally organic,
Mhm.
pesticide, chemical free. And one of the best places to do that is by shopping at your local organic farmers
Mhm.
market.
Mhm. Yeah, being connected to your food is a big deal. I'm so blessed that we have so many great organic farms. And so it's really about starting to change our mind about what is actually food, what actually is nutrients and fuel. And I think it just goes so much deeper because I think if we can just be fat, sick, and tired, like I talk about in my book, then that means we're not operating in our greatness. We're not operating at a conscious level. We're not bringing the world the gift that we were made for because we're so caught up and self absorbed in our sickness and our tired, in our a food addiction or whatever it is. And so it's so much bigger than food. It's about who you really are and what do you bring to this earth that we want to see that manifest. And people are just self-sabotaging under the name of food when really half of it is just chemicals. It's not even food. It's cancer. It's chemicals. It's autoimmune. It's toxic. There's no way to dance around it. It is toxic.
But what about EMF? Because you
Mhm.
share a lot of your little tips and tricks on how you limit the EMF exposure. But can you share with us some of those now?
So some of the things that we do to protect ourselves from EMFs is number one, we only have one Wi-Fi box and we keep it out of bedrooms, out of anywhere near like the vicinities that we're going to be in. And we also use a timer so that the Wi-Fi shuts off at certain times. So that's a really good one. The other one we have salt lamps all throughout the house. And then we have EMF shielding protection, whether that's on the iPads, the phones, the laptops, we use Defender Shield. And so, putting those things on our devices, anything that is not in use, like we don't leave things in Bluetooth. A lot of people think it's just the Wi-Fi, but Bluetooth and Wi-Fi together are just horrific with the EMFs. And so we make sure there's no Bluetooth connected unless we actually need to use it. The same with devices. If they're not in use, they're going on airplane mode. And a lot of people forget to turn off the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi when they switch it to airplane mode. So that would be another thing that you can do. And I would say making sure too, obviously taking things that help your body to chelate, whether that's chlorella, spirulina, charcoal, giving yourself things to help combat that. If you have an EMF sensitivity like I do, I have to wash my hands in cold water after touching electronics for a certain period of time. Getting outdoors is a really big one. So getting the sun, getting out in nature. But in the home, just trying to protect as much as possible, making sure at night everybody's devices go into airplane mode and that Wi-Fi box is going to be shut off. In America, we have these smart meters on homes, and here you can have them taken off. So they're very high in EMF and they're on the outside of your house. And so if you have that, just ask for it to be taken off.
But how does someone know if they have a Wi-Fi or EMF sensitivity?
We know that women are more susceptible to EMF. So that's number one. Number two, there is a cellular blood test that you can take through Dr. Helu. I have that link on my site and in my book. And he tests cellularly for EMF sensitivity. And so that's going to be the best way. Also, if you work with an EMF specialist, typically they do like frequency testing and you can do muscle testing. So that would be another thing. If you work with a naturopath or holistic doctor, they can muscle test you for an EMF sensitivity. So those would be the two best ways.
I want to know, what are you doing to protect yourself with 5G? What are your thoughts on it? And have they started to roll it out in your area?
Yeah, so they definitely are beginning to roll it out. The one that upsets me the most is that they are preying on schools because schools don't have enough money ever. And so these cell companies are going to schools and saying, hey, let us put a tower on your football field. Let us put a tower on your campus. You'll have the fastest internet and we're going to pay you monthly to put this tower here. So I just feel that that is such an injustice on children, teenagers. These are young developing brains, and we know that it affects them 10 times more than a developed brain. And so the first one for me as a mother is talking to school districts, talking to schools individually, sending them links about 5G. There's a really fantastic book called Screen Schooled and Radiation Nation. I've even gifted that to administrators, getting that to the people that decide and vote about these things, if there's a school board, and just really begging them, hey, this is, really dangerous for our children. We're seeing their test scores go down. We're seeing, ADD increase because of all the EMFs. And so I think really having those conversations with the schools and asking schools to not accept them. The next thing is we're going to city meetings and saying the same thing, asking cities to deny the permits, asking cities to do more research before we say yes. We also have a local petition. We have letters, emails to our cities. Some of it is private property. And so trying to talk to those business owners, again, please don't put this tower, on your property. So I would say going to schools, going to businesses, going to your city, going to your county, signing petitions. And if you are within 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet of a tower, especially 5G, I would personally move. I would not live near a tower. That's just me.
So what else can we be doing to really thrive?
That's a big question. I know people are really big on mindset and positive thinking and positive declaration and affirmation. And I am huge on that. I mean, there's a whole section in my book. And I think that as much as we can think positive and speak positive, which has so much power, deep down in those emotions, we've got to heal. We've got to make sure that we're operating in self-compassion, compassion for others, releasing toxic emotions, releasing that heaviness of mistakes or the past or fears or failures. Deep down, if you haven't healed the traumas from 5 years old and 10 years old and 16 years old, and you're still harboring resentment and bitterness, those positive affirmations and organic salads, they're only going to get you so far.
Exactly. And that's, we cultivate this self-awareness to be able to see what's going on through, I believe, meditation. So
Absolutely.
do you have some form of meditation practice?
For sure. I meditate every day. And so that's a big thing for me. I'm in the 5 a.m. club. And the 5 a.m. club is a concept of you tithe your first hour of the day to be electronic free. And that hour is focused on physical fitness, spiritual fitness, and mental fitness. And so the great thing about practicing that is not only does it increase productivity and bring awareness and give you healing, and there's so many benefits, but when stuff happens in the day, I've already been filled. I'm able to operate from a better place because I've sweat, because I've journaled, because I learned, because I meditated and set intentions. I'm able to handle the fires of life much better.
Yeah, I agree. So powerful. Now, I am fascinated. I want everybody to hear about your morning routine and how your day looks. So,
Mhm.
tell us your morning routine and how your day unfolds.
For me, doing the 5 a.m. club. So I do my gratitude journal, I do my affirmation journal, I do my intentions in a journal, and then I'm going to meditate. And a lot of times, sometimes I'll do like a stretching meditation. I might do a little, just like slow flow just to get the body moving, as I might say some affirmations. For me, I like to do a devotion and then move into heading to the gym. And when I'm at the gym, then I make sure I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook or a TED Talk. And so I'm getting my learning in while I'm at the gym. And then I usually wrap that up with the sauna. And then I'm able to come home and wake my kids up. I usually get them up about 6:30. So I have enough time, to get home, kind of start the coffee, water, take my supplements, all that good stuff, and wake my children up. And then we do the whole routine to get everybody to school because all three of them are in different schools. So that's kind of a lot. And so do that. And then I do this time blocking. So when I get back home, I like to tidy up. And then I like to do what Robin Sharma calls the tight bubble of total focus. And that is where I'm going to go dark for maybe 90 minutes. So whatever it is that I can really narrow down and focus on some work. And so I'm really working on doing better at not working as much through homework and dinner and sports so I can be more present with my family. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So, what's a prayer walk?
So for us, we believe in the power of spoken prayer, and we believe that prayer changes things. And so we like to pray for our city. We like to pray for our neighborhoods. So we just spend time, picking different parts of our city to meet up at, or we typically meet in two specific areas and just really make the most of our time walking together and really like, what should we pray for today? If there's been a national crisis, that would typically be the focus of our prayer time as well, is to really focus on, praying for that specific thing.
And you mentioned field trips. So each month you do a field trip. So what's an example of a field trip that you have done recently?
Yeah. So just anything, because I live in the most beautiful place, I can get to San Francisco, Sacramento, Tahoe, Davis, all these beautiful Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley is all within an hour from me. It's just the point of breaking up that routine and just be in a moment, enjoying nature, enjoying laughter, enjoying organic food, enjoying experiences, meeting new people. And so it's just so important to me to do that. It's just being mindful about those little things and spicing it up and being open to change and open to new experiences. And I think that's why being with people in the physical is so powerful.
For me, I do a lot of walks with my girlfriends like you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's so many things that you can do. So, and I think exercising with your girlfriends is a great place to start.
Absolutely. Just human connection, I think, we need to get back to being human. We need to prioritize rehumanizing ourselves.
Totally. A girlfriend and I were chatting the other day that no one does the pop in anymore. And, as a child, I remember my mum's friends and my aunties, they would just pop in, or they wouldn't
Mhm.
call to say, I'm going to pop in. They would just pop in. Our neighbors would just pop in. And I was like, no one pops in anymore. And so I've got two
Mm.
friends that live relatively close to me. One's about 10 minutes, one's about 20 minutes. And I said, if you're ever in the area, you have full permission to pop in.
It just speaks so much. And I think that we need to, I don't know how we can get people to do this more. Even I have a friend that lives in the neighborhood, and, she, again, I was upstairs and I heard her voice say, hello, from downstairs, because she's walking the neighborhood. And, I just dropped everything and went down and we chatted for 10 minutes and that was it. But I just was like, I love that she just walked into my house and yelled hello from downstairs.
Yeah.
And it just made my day.